Former dean, USC Law School, 2 deans ago now, yes, was talking to me in the university club, about 6, 7 years ago, like Crenshaw in 2005, that was lost its accreditation, so it's toilet paper in the admissions process, literally. He said, if I was stuck in that situation, I know what I'd be doing, running drugs, right? So, would it, even when you pause and think, and he was a law and economics guy, Matt Spitz, homo economicus. He was saying this is not about, disabilities and deficiencies and distorted psychological conditions. This is what a rational utility maximizing egoist does in a certain kind of situation, given certain options, right? So, my concern is, I hear what you're saying, we should tell the young brothers and pause, think about it before you do it, but even after you think about it sometimes, it might be, for many, it might seem the best way out.
Absolutely. If we don't create opportunities for them, I mean, we're the leaders of our communities. I mean, we're going to have to be the ones who take the reign, from this situation that we've been put in. I mean, right now with our economy being so bad that if we don't rethink the way we look at things, I mean, one of my favorite books, let me give you a short scenario, one of my favorite books, and I recommend that all you all read this book. The book is phenomenal. I give this book credit with helping me get out of prison. I give this book credit with me doing most of the stuff that I do right now. And people don't really know right now what I'm doing. They can't see it because what I'm doing right now is like a tree that you plant in the ground. And even though the tree hasn't sprouted up out the ground, the tree is growing. But it's unbeknown to the eye what's going on. And that's what I feel that I'm doing right now. I'm in an incubator stage and nobody can really recognize. But this book is called The Richest Man in Babylon. And he talks about putting 10 eggs in and only taking out 1. And he said if you practice that system, pretty soon your basket will overflow. I mean, this is just basics. I understood that and I did terrible in school. But I understood that if you leave 1 in, your basket will soon overflow. But I believe that what's happening in America right now with our present system and with our present way of thinking is that not only are we taking out the 10 eggs we put in, but then we borrow 2. So what's happening is that now we're in debt where we owe eggs. And until we, as a people, buckle up and tighten our belts up and say, you know what? I'm going to leave all the eggs in there for a while. I'm going to go with the bare minimum. I'm going to do it the least that I can. Until we are ready to do that, I don't think that it's going to get better for us. I don't think that the president can help us. I don't think that Congress can help us. Until we, as a society, make up our minds that we're going to buckle up and tighten our belts up, then South Central is going to stay the same, and all these other ghettos in our communities are going to stay the same because nobody's going to have the money to help them. I mean, when I got home and I read about this church, and not picking nobody out, but they built a $50 million church. And I was like, wow, why would they build a $50 million church when we don't have factories? I mean, we're not making anything. I believe that we're going to have to pool our money together and start doing things where we can employ each other, where we can employ the people in the ghetto, where we can give them a job that can take care of their families. I mean, since I've been home, I started a trucking company. I started with $4,000. I went out, I built a truck myself, and I was able to get people to buy into my theory that if we all work together, eventually we all going to flourish together. And that's basically the same scenario that I did in the drug business. I got guys who buying my theory is that stack your money, buy large quantities of drugs, and the drugs is going to be cheaper. What I did is, when I started in the drug business, cocaine was $45,000, the first key that I ever bought. When I went out of business, I had got keys before for $10,000 a key. So I was able to drive the price down because I was taking my money, pulling my money back into my business. And that's exactly what I learned from reading The Richest Man in Babylon. So if you get a chance, when you should, not if, you should read this book, because I believe that these books are the books that will help us get back on track.
So, Ricky, thank you so much. We know you have court in the morning, and you took your time on a night where we understand what you're having to deal with tomorrow morning. I want to just sum up with, you were tried, not the CIA.
Absolutely.
The thing
And I can
that,
tell you what they said about the CIA. I use that in my argument. I can tell you real quick. Well, what I did is I argued that the CIA, that I shouldn't be prosecuted if I got my drugs from the government. How can the government give me my drugs and prosecute me for selling my drugs? Their argument was that the government was not on trial, that I was, and they didn't care who I got my drugs from, that I was a drug dealer, and that I should go to prison.
and then now, just one more summing up. Now, you have not only made a huge transition, now you're actually doing the work, you're committed to the youth, and this total change in your reality and what you're contributing. And the reason you're going to court tomorrow is because technically you're not allowed to do the work that needs to be done because of the way the laws are. And so where you'd be most effective and where you're needed, you're not allowed to serve, right?
Absolutely. I think that I can relate better to guys in prison than I can to anybody else in the world. I spent my last 20 years with guys that was in prison. I know how they think, I know what they eat, I know what they go through. So I feel that my most effectiveness would be working with guys in prison. I've been trying to get to where I can visit the prisons and talk to the guys.
And the juvenile halls especially.
And the juvenile halls. They allow me to go to juvenile halls, a few juvenile halls. But that's why I feel that my service would be best served, because I can tell those guys how they should be doing their time and how they should be preparing when they get on the streets. But I'm not allowed to associate with felons. They don't want me talking to anybody with a convicted felon. And I think they say it's maybe like 40 million people that has either been convicted, on parole, or probation in this country.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for